My name is Gareth Cliff and you're watching Joburg Today.
The State of the City address is an important report back to the residents of the city on progress being made in crucial areas of the city's ongoing development. While last week, Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba delivered his first State of the City address. It's been just 9 months since the new administration was sworn into office. In his speech, the mayor touched on areas that need focus. He also unapologetically reiterated the new administration's dedication to the plight of the poor. I chatted to Dr. Rabelani Dagada, the MMC for Finance in the City of Johannesburg, about several points raised in the State of the City address. We also chatted a bit about the new budget for the city to be released soon. Dr. Dagada, welcome. Great to have you with us. The State of the City address painted the picture of big changes to come for the city of Johannesburg. From a finance perspective, what is it costing the city to fix in terms of what is wrong?
We are going to channel about 60% of our capital budget to areas that have people who have been forgotten. So these are the underserviced areas. They are mostly townships and also informal settlement. So we want to rectify that which couldn't have been done during the last 22 years of democracy.
Sure. I want to talk about the State of the City speech delivered by Mayor Herman Mashaba, where he pointed out certain things that needed to be fixed, like road infrastructure. He did not mince his words when he said the current infrastructure in Johannesburg is crumbling. Please elaborate how much it is costing the city more to fix roads that should have been maintained over the years.
Okay, because we are still going to present the budget speech on the 23rd, I'll talk percentages instead of talking about the real numbers. But what has happened is that the previous administration, they rolled out infrastructure. I must say, in some instances, they did good work, bridges, roads. But they were spending about 2% of the overall budget on maintenance and repairs. So that's why the infrastructure is crumbling. If you look at our electricity and water, we are having huge technical losses because our infrastructure is not robust. So now the mayor is saying this is non-negotiable. We should start to move towards spending 10% of our budget on maintenance and repairs. So with this coming budget, we're looking at least at around 5 to 6% of the budget will be spent on repairs and maintenance. And that's why I must say, that's why our capital budget has gone down a little bit compared to last year. It's because we can't continue to build new infrastructure whilst we are neglecting its maintenance and repairs.
You mentioned earlier that 60% of the capital budget will be used for developing informal sectors and underdeveloped areas in Johannesburg, and the mayor pointed out that this administration is a pro-poor administration. Why is that so important for a city like Johannesburg?
It's because if we neglect the poor, the professionals, the middle class, the upper middle class, and the rich, they are going to be threatened because the very poor will revolt, they'll rebel against us, crime will increase. But I think it is important to emphasize that if you look carefully on the speech delivered by the mayor, in as much as we are saying we are pro-government and we are saying our term of office is going to be for the forgotten people. At the same time, we are not going to neglect those who pay taxes, those who are ratepayers, and mostly those are professionals and the rich. And that's why you'll see as we present the budget on the 23rd. Actually, even if you look at our budget adjustment, we are putting emphasis on repairs and maintenance of traffic lights, because those are things that frustrates the rich, the ratepayers, the taxpayers, but also the potholes, we're dealing with those, and grass cutting. So we are not going to just focus on the poor in the expense of the rich, but we are saying the poor has been neglected for so long, will be a bit more biased towards them, at the same time not neglecting those who actually pay us taxes that will help us to take care of the poor.
And staying with the discussion on infrastructure development, Gauteng Premier David Makhura announced a massive budget for infrastructure development. How does that tie in with the city of Johannesburg in terms of your plans?
So what happens is we have intergovernmental sessions with the Premier, but also with the MECs. The other day he came with his team. We shared with them where we're going. What we're going to do, we need linkages and synergy between all the metros, but also municipalities and the whole province, so that we can have what the Premier usually refers to as the Gauteng city region.
Sure.
But however, the mayor, you'll remember, in his speech, he said very soon the city will be producing its economic development plan. And this plan will outline all these synergies that are required between ourselves and other stakeholders, and that stakeholders include the province.
Sure. Coming back to the State of the City address, the mayor mentioned some numbers when it came to unemployment. More than 50% of the youth in Johannesburg is unemployed. How serious is this administration about attracting investment and creating opportunities for the youth? What plans do you have in place for the youth of the city?
You'll remember what we said was from the onset, we want the economy to grow by 5%. We didn't thumbs up the number. We looked backwards. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'll remember that around 2005, when we were doing very well economically as a country, the economy of the country nationally was growing at around 5%. The economy of Gauteng at 7%, Johannesburg 9%. So it is doable. So what we have noted was when the city spend more on infrastructure, the economy of Johannesburg grows higher. If we spend less, it grows lesser. So that's why we're going to spend more on capital infrastructure, but also on repairs and maintenance. And that way, we'll be able to attract both local and foreign investors. But also, the other thing that we're doing is public safety. We're in the process, as we're talking now,
Sure.
we're recruiting 1,500 new officers. And then when there's stability and there's public safety, we'll be able to attract investors. And we're focusing the inner city. The inner city needs to be, as the mayor puts it, a construction site. That way, we'll be able to create jobs. We don't believe that the city itself should be an employer, but rather the city should create conducive environment for the private sector to employ our people, and particularly the youth.
Sure. It's on the eve of you announcing the new budget for the city. That's expected later this month. How much of wiggle room did you have working with the new budget? Because the mayor mentioned that this administration inherited a budget, inherited an industrial development plan, and that meant it's business as usual. But for this administration, he wants it to be business unusual. So tell us a little bit about how this new budget deviates from the previous one.
It deviates in several ways. As I said, we are putting more money on repairs and maintenance, actually aggressively than what has ever been done before. And secondly, we are targeting the under-serviced areas. So these are very, very huge shifts. Thirdly, we've done away with the vanity projects, where we'll be sponsoring bakeries, and the flour of those bakeries is imported elsewhere in the south of America. So we're doing away with that. We're going to put money where it matters. But it has been very difficult to put together this budget, and I'll tell you why. When we came to the office, we realized that the previous administration has been borrowing a lot, but not collecting more revenue. So because of that, we're reaching the debt ceiling, which is 45% of your revenue. So you can't borrow more than 45% of your revenue collection. So when we arrived, it was sitting at 42%. So it's very difficult for us to be too ambitious, too aggressive, because we don't have space to borrow capital money.
And so far, how has revenue collection improved since you've taken over?
By the end of March, for the very first time in the city, we reached 3 billion rands collection. The budgeted amount was 2.6 billion. We think by May, we'll slightly go higher than that 3 billion. And the plan is that by end of July, we should have collected, for the first time again, 4 billion rands. So we're going to be very aggressive in terms of the revenue collection. And that's why there'll be huge difference between the budget that we're going to present this year and the one to be presented May 2018, because we will have already collected money and there'll be money in the bank.
Sure. You've mentioned a few times previously the need to cut out wasteful expenditure. If we have to talk in terms of percentage again, how much of wasteful expenditure did you manage to get out of this budget in terms of percentage? How much did you manage to save the city?
I will say in terms of operational budget, will be around 10%. For example, we were paying lots of money towards flowers, towards DSTV subscriptions. And as we're talking now, we're actually doing a study. We're still busy doing a study looking at where there's more fat to be cut from the budget. I mean, for example, almost everybody has a cell phone. The city gives them a cell phone. I don't understand. Why should my secretary who sits in the office with a landline have a cell phone? How about drivers? Yes, drivers, yes. Those who drive ambulances. So those are the things that we are looking at. So catering, we are also substantially reducing unnecessary catering. Traveling, from the mayor himself. I mean, since we took office, he has never been out of the country. So traveling, again, so I'll say it's around 10% of the excess fat that we are trimming, we are cutting, so that the money goes where it has to go.
Okay. 30 people have been arrested in the office of the City of Joburg following investigations into fraud and corruption. The mayor mentioned looting, which has cost the city billions of rand. How are you going to get that money back from people who are guilty of looting?
Yes, there are various ways.
The mayor said the fight is to get those people to pay back the money.
Yes, we'll use the legal processes. We'll take the litigation route so that we can get part of the money. If it means we go attach their properties and their fixed and movable properties so that they can be auctioned and we get our money back, we're going to do that. But also, when we go aggressively towards those who are conducting criminal activities, then there'll be a lot of awareness within the city that crime doesn't pay. And that way, those who thought they'll do the same will desist. And in a way, the money will be saved.
Okay. The State of the City address by the mayor really marks that first 9 months in office. It's been a very intense 9 months for this new administration. Would you say that as a new administration, you've managed to set a solid foundation in place to carry out the rest of your tenure?
We've done that. We've made some very bold policy pronouncements. For example, the insourcing of security staff, cleaners, those who work in catering, those who work in guidance. So that's very huge. It's huge. And secondly, the incorporation of municipality-owned entities. So we've done that, but we're not done yet. As I'm talking to you now, we're in the process of institutional review. So currently, we have around just over 30 senior managers who report to the city manager. Is that normal? Should we let that continue? So we're reviewing that, and that will be one of the big announcements that we are going to make towards the end of towards the end of our first year in the office.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
How's it? This is Dominic Oliver, and you're watching Joburg Today.
Like us on Facebook, joburgtoday.tv, and follow us on Twitter @JoburgToday. And that's all from the team today. Have a great Monday.